Hi, my name is Katrina Renee, and I'm so glad that you decided to click on to my ministry. I am the founder of She Always Rise, and before I get started with the video, let me just tell you a little backstory behind the name of She Always Rise. She Always Rise, I came up with the name because I was dealing with a whole lot of witchcraft attacks, as well as I was dealing with a lot of attacks from the devil. And so, you know, there were times I almost died in my sleep and all types of stuff. But no matter what I went through, God woke me up the next morning. And I mean, I could have been in the middle of an attack or anything. It didn't matter. I went to work and it didn't even appear to anyone that I was being attacked or anything, you know. So basically that's where I got the name from. The fact that no matter what I went through, God always kept me safe. He always rose me up, and he would do the same thing for you. So this video, I've decided to make this video to basically tell my testimony, of how God delivered me out of the New Age movement. Okay, so a little backstory about myself. My father had passed away back in 2009. I'll never forget it. That year, I was going through a whole lot. I was being rebellious. My dad raised me up to sheltered. I could never go anywhere. I couldn't go to friends' houses. I couldn't do anything. All I could do was sit in the house all the time. So majority of the time, I literally sat in my room and I literally focused on writing songs, listening to music, dancing. And so that's how I was raised. So the year of 2009, I was really being rebellious. I remember I left the house to be with some guy, you know, and during that time, my dad was sick. I want to say March of that year, my father had a stroke and his health was deteriorating. And I remember for some reason it wasn't clicking to me what was going on, because all I know was I'm 18. I could do what I want to do. I could do what I want to do. So I left or whatever. And I decided to come up to the state that I was from. And it was this guy that I was dating. And you know, when you 18 years old or something, you just know you're going to be with the person forever. So that's what I was thinking. And my dad was telling me, you know, just come back home. Just come back home. I'm just like, no, because I thought about home as you're not going to do anything but, like, you know, shelter me. And I don't want to be sheltered or whatever. So, needless to say, the guy I was dating abandoned me, you know, and I deserved every piece of it, okay? I deserved every piece of it because I was being fast. Let's just call it like it is. So, I'll never forget, I went to college, and I was going to Elizabeth City State University out in North Carolina. And I'll never forget, I went there in August. In September, my father had passed away. So that shook me because I didn't realize how sick my father was. I had no idea that he was that sick. I knew that, you know, he was having strokes and stuff, but I didn't know, you know, I didn't know that he was that sick, that like he was on the brink of dying, you know. So he passed away. And so that really shook my world. I turned into a whole complete different person. I started drinking. I started getting high, like smoking weed. I started smoking cigarettes, Black and Mouths. And like, you know how you're in college and they call it like, what is it, Thirsty Thursday? Like, it was like, I mean, for every day of the week, we had a name for it because it was me and it was a group of people. But I'm not going to think of the names. It's been so long ago. I'm sitting here trying to figure out what was the names, but it's not important. But needless to say, you know, I dealt with my share of depression behind it. Then I flunked out of college because I was too depressed to actually go to class and try to make it through college. So, and probably a little bit too hungover too, to be completely honest. So I ended up flunking out of college, and I ended up back in Virginia. And my mother, you know, she was in a relationship that she's still in, you know, and I actually like this guy now. But back then, you know, he was a different person. He wanted to have the house to himself. He wasn't okay with me coming. So I was homeless, you know, and I was hopping from house to house, and all I could think about was, this wouldn't happen if my dad was here. This would not happen if my dad was here. This would not happen if my dad was here. So after that, I want to say that was going on for some years. Then in the year of 2014, I ended up, you know, trying to better myself. I ended up getting this really nice job, and I ended up moving in with an aunt of mine. And I moved in with her, and it was just so awkward because she's my dad's sister. And during that time, I was dealing with imposter syndrome. And if you know anything about imposter syndrome, you would know that no matter if it's your family, no matter if it's just a job or whatever, you will feel like you don't belong there, like somebody can find something out about you and they'll be like, oh my God, she's not supposed to be here. So because, like, you know, I didn't really feel like I was a part of the family no more, as weird as it sounds, because my dad was deceased, you know. And so I was looking at my cousins, and, you know, they had their moms and dads and stuff, and my dad was deceased, you know. So I just dealt with like a share of awkwardness, and then on top of that, I was doing a lot of stuff and people were judging me for it. But when I look back at it, I kind of deserved it in a sense, but at the same time not, you know. So anyways, I remember I ended up leaving my aunt's house, and I ended up staying in this hotel, this extended stay. And I lie to you not, I was going through so much. Like, I have like tattoos on my body. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 5, but one is a cover up. But so I was going through a lot during that time, and every time I would get a tattoo, except for the one that's on my leg, every time I would get a tattoo, it was because I was hurting. So, you know, if I was in pain or something, I needed to feel pain. So instead of, like, you know, harming myself, I would literally just go and get a tattoo. So during that season, I had got some extra tattoos and stuff, and I was just going through a lot. And I remember, you know, I was in the parking lot of this extended stay, and I can't remember, I think it was like probably like around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like the sun was kind of going down, if I want to, you know, kind of remember what it looked like outside. And I was sitting in my car, and I remember I just put my hand to the ground. Now, this is going to get crazy, y'all, so brace yourselves. I just put my hand down to the ground, and I had offered my soul up to the devil because I had a dream to become a singer. You know, I wanted to be a singer. I songwrite, you know, I sing and things. So, you know, I wanted to be a singer. I was obsessed with becoming a singer, but not for the right reasons, though. I wasn't obsessed about becoming a singer because I'm just so passionate about music. You know, though I have a tattoo, and I thought I was at that time. But really what I was passionate about was showing everybody, you know, that judged me, you know, that, hey, I am important. Hey, I am somebody. Hey, you know, look at all the money that I have, you know, I'm successful. And two, like, I felt like that was the only way I could be successful, was to sit there and to try to get famous or something like that. So I literally put my hand on the ground, and I had offered up my soul, but I didn't hear anything. Mind you, that was 2014. I didn't hear absolutely nothing. Nothing at all about that at all. Nothing at all. Like crickets, like, so you know, it didn't work, you know? So, after that, I ended up moving out of the extended stay, And I ended up moving into a duplex, which is basically, there are 2 apartments. It kind of look like houses, but there's an apartment on both sides. I ended up moving into a duplex. And so while I was at the duplex or whatever, it seemed like everything was going good or whatever, but that longing for my dad was still there. You know, the longing for my dad was still there. Like, during that season, I was still smoking cigarettes, but I wasn't getting high. I wasn't drinking, though. You know, I believe God started taking that stuff away from me. And I didn't even know it, you know, because I didn't grow up in a church. My dad actually did grow up in a church, but my dad, I believe he had like some grudges against God for whatever reason. And I want to think that one of them was because I was raped. But he just did not believe in God. You know, he didn't believe, you know. So he knew the Bible, and but he just never taught it to me. So a lot of stuff, you know, that was going on, you know, it was just because of my ignorance in knowing God, you know, because let me tell you, your girl is afraid of God, beyond afraid of God now, like beyond afraid, you know. So anyways, so as time went on, like I was being fearful of, as time went on, as time went on, excuse me, y'all, I kind of deal with that, like memory going in and out or whatever like that. I bind you in the name of Jesus. I still go through attacks from the devil still to this day because I'm walking in my purpose. But, so I was still dealing with the grief of losing my dad during that season. And I just couldn't help but think, like, if my dad was here, you know, this wouldn't be happening, that wouldn't be happening, this wouldn't be happening, that wouldn't be happening. So I ended up meeting my children's father. And the season that we met, it was kind of tricky, you know. He had a girlfriend, to be completely honest. And at that point in my life, like, I'm not going to say I was trifling, but, like, I didn't care, you know. So with that being said, you know, me and him had started messing around or whatever. And so, at that point, I was still missing my dad or whatever like that. And he ended up breaking up with the girl. And then we ended up actually becoming a couple and having a baby and things of that nature. So, I remember during that season, because I was dealing with a whole bunch of guilt. I was dealing with guilt, rightfully so, okay. I was dealing with a whole bunch of guilt. I was dealing with, you know, shame and a whole bunch of other stuff, you know. I was dealing with fear of becoming a mom. And I was just dealing with fear because I was going to give birth to this little black boy. And at the time, you know, police brutality was going on. And I want to say at that time, too, this was in 2017, they were talking about that they seen a KKK rally. And I mean, it was just like a lot of mess that was going on. I want to say it was like the Charlottesville or something like that. A lot of mess was sitting there going on or whatever like that. So I was just like afraid, you know. But needless to say, my son was born. I almost died giving birth to him, by the way. But my son was born. And so some people I kind of don't want to mention, but in order to tell my testimony, I have to kind of mention them. But so we ended up staying with my children's dad's moms or whatever. And so I kind of, you know, mind you, in 2016, I was going through a lot, you know. The guy that I was dating, he had broke up with me. I used to be so, like, hooked on love. Like, I used to be the type of person where I would try to find love, but I always went the wrong way with trying to find it. But I will always try to find love. And I remember this guy had broke up with me, and I was just so distraught or whatever. And I remember I was going through like this share of like suicidal thoughts, like something was trying to make me suicidal. And I mean, from the minute that I would go up to the time I would go to sleep, I would literally be having thoughts of just do it, just do it, just kill yourself, just do it. Nobody's gonna miss you or whatever. But it would speak as if it was me that was saying, you know, like nobody, you know, would miss me, and, you know, I should just do it. I should just kill myself, which is always what the enemy tries to do. You know, when you have intrusive thoughts, you know, it always try to speak like me, you know, so you think it's you. But anyways, so I remember I was talking to my aunt about it, and I was like, I feel like I have to tell somebody because I feel like I might actually do it. And she was just like, no, what you're facing is a spiritual attack. You're facing a spiritual attack, and all you have to do, you just have to fight back. So it was like the minute she said that, when I tell you those thoughts stopped immediately. It just stopped out of nowhere, which is how I kind of knew that it couldn't have been me, you know, that was thinking those things, because I mean, it just stopped. So anyways, I had prayed to God, and I didn't know what a Lamb's Book of Light was. I seen a prophecy of a girl, this Spanish girl, and she was just saying how she's seen Selena in hell, she's seen Michael Jackson in hell, she's seen a pope in hell. And, you know, and before, like, he gave her those visions of hell or whatever the case, she prayed to him and she told him to put her in the Lamb's Book of Light. So, or life, you know. So I had made that prayer to him after he had delivered me from, you know, those suicidal thoughts. I had made that prayer to him, and I was just like, you know, God, put me in the Lamb's Book of Light. So next thing you know, here comes my children's dad. We're messing around. Then we end up becoming a couple, and, you know, we end up having a baby. And then, you know, I'm sucked into this world, because after I had a baby, I started seeing, like, people true colors. You know, I started to tell that people didn't like me as much as, you know, they were acting like they did, and this, that, and the third. But I started to, but as time went on, you know, I still had that longing for my dad. So I had another YouTube channel, and I was going to start doing celebrity gossip. And I remember I had just got done making my intro. This is going to be a long video, y'all. I had just made my intro to my YouTube channel, and it was like lightning. And it was purple, right? It was like purple lightning or whatever like that. So I remember, like, I was sitting there, you know, I had just posted it or whatever. And it was this African Orisha that happened to pop up on my timeline. And I don't want to say its name, but it's a female, and it's kind of Oya. And it's based off of, like, it was like purple, like the picture, it was purple, it had the lightning and stuff. And I was just like, that's weird, you know. And I was like, it's kind of cool. So I started looking up all these different Orishas or whatever like that. And I realized there was so many of them. And, you know, they're African. So, you know, there's black men and black women and stuff, and it was just so cool to see, you know, black people that seem, you know, seeming like powerful and stuff, because, you know, they try to tell, you know, us black people that Christianity is a white man's religion. The reason why, you know, the reason why black people are Christians is because when, you know, they came from Africa, the slave master distilled it into them, this, that, and the third. And, so, and I kind of believed it, but then again, I didn't know God. I believed anything, you know. I was such an open-minded, free-spirited person. And it's actually dangerous to be a free spirit, because that's like telling the devil, hey, I'm a free spirit, hey, I'm free, you know. But now I'm really free, okay? So so anyways, where was I at, y'all? Because I just ranted. Okay, so I had found that picture on Instagram about Oya, and so I remember, yes, I was looking at all those Orishas or whatever. So I remember, like, I kind of left it alone. And then one name stuck out to me, the name of Oshun. It stuck out to me. So I was just like, okay, you know, that stuck out because of Beyonce and her music videos and stuff. And I was like, okay, so I remember that one. So that's what she was talking about. So I'm like, all right. So then, like, you know, I'll listen to the music because, you know, they had music or whatever. So I didn't know what they was talking about. Mind you, I ain't know not a thing they was saying because they were speaking in Yoruba. But, you know, I just liked the African feel. So I'm like, you know, okay. So anyways, long story short, y'all, next thing I know, I have an ancestor altar in my house. Now, an ancestor altar, you know, is basically meant for you to talk to your ancestors, right? Because they can talk to you according to New Age spirituality. They can talk to you, which is a lie. They can help you spiritually, which is a lie, you know. And so I was thinking, I believed it. I was so gullible. And I was just like, okay, you know, let me do this. So I remember, like, I would literally come home from work and, like, you know, light my candles or whatever. And because I said it like that because I don't want to tell how to make it. You know, I'm working for the kingdom of heaven, not for the devil. Okay, so anyways, I lit my candles or whatever. And so I was sitting there talking to, you know, my dad. And I mean, it got so crazy where, like, I would literally skip, like, family gatherings to talk to my dad, you know. I would literally, like, make a plate, put, you know, and, you know, other stuff as well. So, next thing you know, I was doing candle magic. And I was praying over the candle for, you know, for peace to be in the house. As well as, you know, because New Age spirituality, everything is about energy, the bad energy, negative energy. They have, you know, everything is about energy. So I'm trying to send negative energy back to people that's sending negative energy to me, you know. I'm like, whoever's sending negative energy to me, you know, send it back, you know. And so it was being, you know, it was being sent back, but I didn't know I was doing a reversal. And reversal is basically like if somebody was to do a curse to you, you send it back to them. Mind you, there's no power in the candle. There's no power in nothing you doing. But the enemy, you know, which they don't want to be in hell. You know, if you sitting here and you don't open yourself up to something like this, you don't open yourself up to give these things some form of a job, they're going to get the job done. And really, you don't need a candle. All you got to do is speak it, really. You know, like, and that's the God honest truth, you know. So anyways, I realized that my children's father's mama all of a sudden started having money problems. And that was one of the things that I was dealing with. You know, like, I was having money problems. We was having money problems. As well as, like, you know, conflict. You know, I realized his sister, her relationship, they just started having conflict or whatever. So I was just like, that's odd. But I never pieced the two together. I never really pieced the two together any at all. So I remember as time went on, you know, his sister had came to the house one day and, you know, she was just being very weird, but she started asking questions. She was just like, so how is y'all money? Is everything good? Going good with your money? How is everything? You know, and one thing about witches, they will always try to check on you to make sure what it is that they're doing is working. You know, whether they astral project or, and I know people of God, I know. They're like, what if they what? Listen. I never did it before. I don't think I did. But, okay. But, yeah, so God just told me I did. So, with that being said, anyways, and I thought I did. I didn't know if that was a dream or what. It was so weird. I was standing in the door of my kitchen, and I had 2 pit bulls, but I could only see one. And he was looking at me, and I was looking at him, you know. And then after that, it just kind of stopped. And as two, God had revealed to me the witch, the main witch that they were paying to plague me. Hey, Daisy Ozum, you always making videos talking about somebody's doing spell work and witchcraft and stuff when you was the main one plaguing me. How you doing, sis? Anyways, where was I at? So anyways, I realized people started having money problems. People started like, you know, bickering and this, that, and the third and blah, 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 blah. So, after that, I didn't put two and two together. The sisters started asking questions about money problems and all this other stuff. And mind you, me or, you know, my children's father, we didn't open our mouths to say anything, you know. So anyways, she ended up leaving. And I remember it was one time she was putting some jewelry in my locks. That's when I first started them. And she was putting jewelry in my locks. And I guess what her goal was to take some of my hair. But anyway, she took some of my hair and she did like this and she looked at me and it was just like this happy thing. And the next thing you know, she said she couldn't finish it. But the jewelry she was using, she put it in this like a bottle cap. And, you know, and she was just like, just put it in yourself. And she ran out the door. So anyways, as time, it still didn't click to me because the girl used to sit there and tell me, you know, she would see a demon. She would literally be crying, you know, about seeing one and all this other stuff. So it didn't click on me that she was actually doing something spiritually or trying to do, you know, get something done spiritually. It didn't click to me at all. So anyways, I'm still, you know, trying to self-heal because I was more in New Age spirituality. I was more so of a love and light, peace, love and light. That was me. Like, I didn't want to hex nobody because I understood that, you know, even though I didn't know the Bible, I didn't know that he who digs a pit will fall into that very pit. I didn't know that. I had no idea, but I knew that in the New Age spirituality, they claim that when you do something like that, it comes back on you 7 times fold. And I knew God, the power of God. And I still, even when I was in that side, even when I didn't know God, I had a fear of God. And so I was used to say, like, I don't want that problems with God. I don't want to sit there and play God and be plaguing somebody, you know, and then like, here comes what I did back 7 times. You know, I don't want that life. And I even warned my children's father's sister that too. I even warned her and told her don't get involved with that, not knowing she was already involved. I try to warn her and tell her don't get involved. So anyways, I was trying to self-heal. I was taking spiritual baths. Not going to tell you what a spiritual bath is because I'm not, yeah, no, they ain't, you know, but I was taking spiritual baths. And I was trying so hard to heal myself because I was dealing with a whole lot of insecurities. I used to always be told that my hair was short. My hair wasn't long enough, you know. So I went through this season of wearing weave. And I remember, like, you know, I was so afraid to not wear my real hair. So I remember I was in the shower one day because I was trying so hard to heal myself, as they call a New Age side, shadow work. That used to be my favorite thing over there. And so I was working so hard to try to heal myself, and I was in the shower and I'm just like, why don't I like my hair? Why don't I like my hair? What is it about my hair that I'm so afraid of? And I thought of a particular family member, and I was just like, are you serious? I don't want to wear my hair because of what that family member said. Next thing you know, child, I was in the mirror. I was in the mirror and I was just twisted. Because I wanted to start locks, but I wasn't for sure. You know, I wanted to start locks for like self-love reasons, to learn how to love myself. I jumped out that shower so fast when I realized what was the root of that, and I just started twisting my hair. And if I was to get a retwist, which is what I badly need, you know, you will see my parts don't make no sense, but it's cute. You know, it came out cute. And actually, you know, this is not, you know, my locks are actually bigger now, you know, but when I first started it, because most of my locks are, you know, double, you know, as you can see, I put them together to make them thicker, but it started out being thinner. But anyways, I just was sitting there a lot. I was twisting my hair, twisting it. And I said, there. So then, that particular family member was having like a dinner, a Thanksgiving dinner. So I went over there to their house, and with my hair twisted up to show to the person that, yes, you know, I do have hair. My hair is not short, this, that, and the third. So anyways, mind you, I'm still in the new age spirituality. Next thing you know, I done got me a deck of tarot cards, child. And I'm sitting there, you know, asking questions, this, that, and the third. So anyways, I remember I was pregnant with my second son, and I remember I went through a season. This is when everything kind of exploded. I went through a season where not a season, but like it was like a few days. I didn't feel him, and I was just like, why don't I feel my baby? Why don't I feel my baby? Why don't I feel my baby? Child ran on the doggone tarot cards, and I don't know what answered, but something said, and God block it, you know. Something was like, basically someone was doing spell work against my unborn child, you know. So I was just like, what? So, child, next thing you know, I'm putting people in the freezer. And I'm not going to tell you what that consists of, but basically it's to stop a person from attacking you. It's to stop a person from harming you in some kind of way. Next thing you know, I was putting people in the freezer. Yeah, you know, I was putting people in the freezer. Child, it didn't work. It didn't work. No, none of that stuff worked. But anyways, I was putting the person in the freezer to make them stop. So anyways, you know, and one of the persons was my so-called best friend. So anyways, she ain't my friend no more though. But, so that's when like I started, like I was well aware at that time what a reversal was, and I started doing reversals. And I remember it got so tiresome doing reversals, because I'm just like, these people think about me too much. I was like, why do they think about me? Because it seemed like they were always doing something. So I'm like, these people, they think about me a little bit too much, you know. So I remember I kept doing reversals. I kept trying to fight back. I kept trying to fight back, sending it back. Mind you, I thought I was still operating out of a place of light, you know, because I'm not necessarily getting the work done. I'm just sending it back to you, you know. So I never forget, this is when God started delivering me, because God, mind you, I asked him to put me in the Lamb's Book of Life. So anyways, let me, okay. So I did know, because I had a weird way, because even though like, yeah, like I was listening to Orisha music, I wasn't worshiping them. Don't get it twisted. I didn't have no altar set up for no Orisha or nothing like that. I tried it one time. Let me tell you something, and this will grace anybody that might be thinking about, you know, getting acquainted with Oshun, Oya, Shango, all these other things. They're demons. A lot of you not. I was trying to seek Oshun. And what was it, Lord, that I wanted? I'm a bit prophetic. I can hear him, but I was trying to seek the thing for healing and strength during that season of dealing with all of that witchcraft. I was trying to seek healing and strength or whatever. And I remember I had made somewhat of an altar. I'm not going to tell you what I did, because I don't work for the kingdom of hell. I work for the Lord. But mind you, I started meditating, right? I had the music playing, you know, but I was meditating. And I seen this woman sitting like on this throne chair. It was like a throne chair. And she had like this gold, like hat type thing on her head. So I remember I seen her and I was like, oh my gosh, she is so beautiful. And when I tell you, she looked at me and like her face just got demonic. And she was just like, wah! And like I'm telling you the God honest truth. And I was just like, that was supposed to happen, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the world did that happen? Like, nobody ever told me that happened. So I know, like, I stopped messing with it. I'm like, I'm not doing that, because I don't know what that is, and I never did it again, you know. But So I think at that season, that was God letting, because I had a weird way of worshiping God. I didn't know God, and I told God to put me in the Lamb's Book of Life, and I felt like he led me to New Age spirituality. And I had even told my aunt that. I was like, yeah, I told God, you know, put me in the Lamb's Book of Life, and he led me here. He was leading me through it, you know, but he didn't lead me to, he led me to it to lead me through it. Let me just say it like that. So, after I seen that, and I wanted to say, because I had a weird way of worshiping God. I was planning, child, before the Lord got me out, I was planning on making an altar for the Lord, everything. I said, I ain't got to go to church. You know, this is how I was thinking. I ain't got to go to church. I'll make my own altar. And then I'll put a cross on there, and then all this stuff, and I'll just read the Bible, and all this other stuff, child. I don't know what the world I had going on, but it won't hoodoo, voodoo, santeria, brujeria, obia, none of that. Like, it won't no time. I didn't know what I was doing. But I tell you, I didn't relate to none of them. The chicken killing, the animal killing, you know, hanging people on trees with a voodoo doll and peeing, and like all that stuff. I didn't relate to it, honey. I was trying to worship God in a weird, distorted way. I would literally write my prayers and burn them in a pot and go outside and throw the ashes in the air. Like, there you go. There's my prayer, Lord. What was I doing? I don't know, but, you know, I was praying to God to help me, you know, fight against, help me, you know, fight against the witches that was attacking me. You know, help me fight against the witches that was attacking me. That's what I was praying to him about. That's what I was seeking him about. And, you know, the Bible says when you seek me, I'm laughing because the way I was doing it, but I was seeking the Lord in a very distorted way. But, you know, the Bible says he who seeks me early, you know, eventually, basically, you will find me. Eventually, it'll take you a while, but you'll find me. So I was seeking him, like I was throwing ashes in the air, everything. Like, Lord, please help me with these witches. And I remember, like, you know, I realized during that season, you know, I don't like evil. I don't like evil. I hate evil. I can't. And mind you, I didn't know what I was doing was evil. I had no idea. So, I remember this girl, she's a prophet. Her name is Kendra, but she has a channel on YouTube named prettybosstv. Hey, girl. Anyways, she had got out of the New Age spirituality. And I remember, like, because I'm thinking I was serving God. So I'm like, okay, what'd she get out of it for? She was like, I got out of it so I can serve God. I'm like, okay, me and you, we got the same God. So I don't mind looking at your videos about you talking about God, because that's my God, you know? And I just kept saying, that's my God. We got the same God. Mind you, I got tarot cards. Mind you, I had an ancestor altar and stuff. But I was like, that's my God. We got the same God, you know? So she would sit there and talk about Yahweh and things, you know, and I would listen. But one video that girl made, and I mean, if my locks could have fell off my head, they would have. She had made a video, and the video was titled, I don't think I'll ever forget it, Tarot is Going Out of Business. I don't think I'll ever forget the title, Pretty Boss, if you looking at this, if you just so happen to look at this one day. I don't think I'll ever forget the title, because that was like an epiphany for me. And I remember, like, I was watching a video because I wanted to know why she was saying tarot was going out of business. Mind you, my calling is to be a minister. But when I was on the other side of the thing, I wanted to minister people on, you know, how to heal themselves and all this other new age stuff. I didn't want my channel to be blatantly for tarot, you know, but my motto back then was, but if you need one, I got you. You know, if you needed a reading, I got you. I was like, but that, no, I wanted to talk. Basically, I wanted to minister in a distorted way, basically. So I'm listening to the video and she's talking about God. I can't remember all she said, but she was just talking about how tarot is going out of business and stuff. So I'm just listening to her. So I'm just like, you know, just listening or whatever. Because my thing was, well, you know, I asked God to put me in the Lamb's Book of Life and he led me to this. So I don't know what you talking about, you know. So she was like, tarot, you know, divination is an abomination to God. And and I have a fear of God, which is why I never did black magic on anyone that was doing it to me, you know. I just was sending it back and seeking God in my weird way. I was seeking him. Me and my doggone pot baby. And my ashes, I was seeking him, you know. And so I was seeking the Lord. And so anyways, she was like, tarot cards, tarot, divination is an abomination to God. And I'm just like, and when I tell you, it wasn't more so like I was thinking, but I felt convicted. I felt the conviction, which is how I know the Lord was with me, you know, and probably which is why that whole Oshun thing didn't really work for me. You know, it might have worked for everybody else, but I don't know. She turned into a demon on me. But anyways, I just felt convicted. And I knew like I had that fear of God, and I knew in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna have to stop this. I can't keep up with this. It's an abomination to God. I'm gonna have to stop it. And I'm like, but I don't understand, you know, and I was beating myself up, and I'm like, but I told God, I asked God to put me in a Lamb's Book of Life. And then next thing you know, he led me to the spirituality, because I wasn't spiritual before then. You know, nobody ever taught me the Bible. Nobody ever, you know, done that with me, you know, like, my dad didn't even allow gospel music. Like when I was 16 years old, I literally had to go and get baptized on my own, because my dad was not seeing to it, you know, and I went and got baptized on my own at 16 years old. So like, that was the first time ever I was spiritual in a sense. So I was just like, I don't understand. I asked God to put me in a Lamb's Book of Life, and I felt like he led me here. But now she's saying that tarot is an abomination to God, but you know, so I just felt so convicted. And this girl I was talking to, she was a witch as well. I guess I can kind of say I was one too, you know. I won't do nothing to nobody, but I was with candles and stuff, and yeah, you know. So anyways, I can't call her one without saying I was one back then. So anyways, so I remember she was just like, why do you care so much? Why do you care? Why do you care so much if she's saying that it's an abomination? Why do you care so much? And I was just like, I don't know. No, I think it was either I don't know, or either I told her that I'm afraid of God. I have a fear of God. I can't remember what the lines was, but I was just like, all I kept thinking about was my home church, certain people that made me feel bad in that church or whatever. And I was just like, you mean to tell me I gotta go back? Like, wait, what is this? You know, like, what is this? You know, every time I got a question for God, I always be like, what is this? You know, but I was just like, what is this? Like, I asked God to put me in a Lamb's Book of Life, okay? And next thing I know, I'm being told that the very thing I feel like I'm led to do is an abomination. So all I kept thinking about was my dad and that ancestor altar. So I'm like, I'm not getting out of it. I'm not going to stop, because, you know, I finally have a relationship with my dad again. I'm not stopping, you know. So I remember, like, I kind of egged my tarot deck for a while, you know, but then I kind of got on it or whatever. And I lie to you not, one day I was sitting at the table, because I guess God, you know, God, what's impossible with man is possible with God. And there's prophets that said they seen Selena in hell, and I can attest to you, I seen Michael Jackson in hell myself. But that's later on in this video that I talk about it. So anyways, I mind you, God very well knew the reason that I was staying in there. So I was at the kitchen table, and I called myself, I'm meditating before I start my reading. So I'm sitting there meditating at the kitchen table. I was meditating for about 35-40 minutes too. And and I wasn't seeking my dad or nothing. I was just meditating to clear my mind, you know, because dealing with, you know, being plagued with witchcraft and stuff, and knowing that people are against you and stuff, and, you know, and all that sin and reversals. Every time I turn around, I was trying to send it back. I was sending it back. Like, eventually, it's like, why, like, this is crazy. So, like, meditation was really my best friend at that time, you know, to just ease my mind and stuff and try to calm me from all of the attacks I was dealing with. So I was at the table meditating before my reading, child. And next thing you know, I heard my dad. But my dad, it wasn't his voice. It was my voice I was hearing. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? It was very well, like, it sounded like it, you know, so I knew it was him. weirdly, I knew it was him, though I didn't hear his voice. It sounded like my voice. And he was just like, it just was like, you got so much farther than I ever did. And I was just like, I can come back. I started panicking out of nowhere. And I was like, I can come back. And I remember, like, it was almost like I was, like, in the spiritual realm. And, you know, and I was like, I can come back. And I felt my spirit go down. And my dad was like, no, no, go, no. And then he was like, keep going, keep going, keep going. Like, go the other way. No. So I was just like, I came out of the meditation. I was just like, keep going. Because, you know, like, I had the ancestor altar set up for him. And, you know, and I would talk to him and stuff. And so I'm just like, I'm not understanding why he would tell me to keep going. Look at all I'm doing. Like, I'm sitting here for your birthday. I'm for Thanksgiving, all this other stuff. I'm not understanding why you would tell me to keep going. You know, it was the way he said it. And honestly, my spirit was going down. You know, mind you, I told you my dad, he did not believe in God, you know, and things of that nature. So you can pretty much guess, God already confirmed it to me where my dad is. But anyways, my spirit was going down. And he was just like, no, keep going, keep going, keep going. So anyways, that shook me. And, you know, that was convicting me because I'm like, why he say it like that? What does he mean, keep going? Keep going. Like, what does he mean by that? I don't understand. So anyways, I remember, you know, whatever, you know. So I lie to you not, I think it was the day after, because that's when God was coming after me. He was chasing me, but I believe he was chasing me all along, but it started to be real obvious, you know. And I remember one day I was in a tarot reading. No, I didn't start it. I was meditating before my reading, you know. And so I was meditating before my reading, and it was this white lady demon. That's all I'm gonna say. A white lady demon. Her hair was parted. It was blonde, but it was short, and it was like flips. Like she was like from the 70s or something. And like she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the cards, and her face was like it was just like it, but it wasn't like she was white. It was like she was like a nasty looking green almost. So I remember I was just like, what? And I remember like my eyes were still closed, but I kind of backed up. And then that's when it left, you know. I didn't know it was a demon. I didn't know what was going on. But, you know, on that side of the fence in the New Age spirituality, they claim that when that happens, you're doing something wrong. You're not protecting yourself. You got to get the salt. Did you get the salt? You got to. Let me tell you something. All you doing over there is talking to demons. Like, that salt ain't going to help. That sage ain't going to help. That Palo Santos, yeah, it's not going to help. None of that stuff, you know. So, with that being said, I thought I didn't do something right. So, I bought some black salt off of Amazon, and I go for putting it up under my table. I call myself putting it up under the tablecloth, the black salt, to protect myself. But anyways, so that happened. And so I kept doing my reading because I thought, you know, like I fixed the problem. You know, I just wasn't protected. Let me light some sage, you know, poof, woo, get some smoke in here. So anyways, so after that, I remember back in a room because I was always meditating to try to calm my nerves, you know, because 9 times out of 10, I had to send some stuff back, you know. Fighting for yourself is hard. Let me say, if you are dealing with a spiritual battle right now and you're fighting the new agey way where you're doing reversals, honey, stop. Like, I'm telling you, like, that gets annoying. Like, always doing reversals. Always. Like, oh, my God, these people, they still thinking about me. I haven't even said nothing to nobody. Oh, my God. You know, so anyways, I was in a room and I was meditating. You know, not before reading, though, but I was just meditating, you know. And I think Gina Aiko, she had just came out with a meditation song, you know, and I would listen to it. And I was meditating, but I don't know what I was listening to, but I remembered that out of nowhere. Anyways, I remember in the picture that I had on my dad's ancestor altar, this was a picture he took the same day I went to prom. I was in the 9th grade, and the guy I was going to prom with, he was in the 11th grade. But anyways, so that picture, he had on a black shirt, and it had like some color, like it was like color pictures on his shirt, but in real life, he had on yellow pants. He had on yellow pants in real life. There was a thing standing beside my ancestor altar God gave me a vision of. And he wasn't even as big as my dad, because my dad was like big. My dad was like almost 400 pounds. He was like heavy set, but he wasn't as big as my dad. And he had on a plain black shirt. And he had on black pants. And his forehead, oh my God, a familiar spirit. His forehead, you know, went like this. And it came in almost like an acute triangle, acute angle, you know, on your forehead. So I'm just like, what is that? What is that? You know, oh my gosh. So I was, you know, mind you, I'm like, God, okay. If my dad is in hell, I'm okay with that. I can still love him. I can love him even though he's in hell. I can love him like that. And I remember, like, God didn't say it. I didn't hear his voice, but I just felt like that's not your dad. That's not your dad. And that's when I knew. And that's when it broke me, because I felt like I just lost my dad all over again, you know. And then I felt betrayed. I felt stupid, you know. And I'm just like, what in the world? So next thing I know, I went into, you know, my laundry room, and I was just tearing all that stuff down. I was just tearing it down. And my children's dad, he had even had one up. You know, I kind of got him to get one up too, because I thought it was the right thing to do. He was even taking his down. It was a familiar spirit. A familiar spirit is basically a demon that can metamorph itself into looking like your deceased loved ones. But the thing about it is, a demon is a demon. And it's going to be ugly, you know. It can't make itself look directly like your ancestor, you know. So you're going to be able to see that it's a demon, you know. That's something that it can't hide, you know. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, what have I been sitting here doing this whole time? What have I been sitting here doing? Mind you, there were still people attacking me with spell work, with witchcraft. So I'm just like, okay, you know, how am I going to sit here and fight back, you know? How am I going to sit here and fight back at these people that's doing, mind you, hold up. God spoke to me through tarot cards. I almost forgot that part. You say God can't do that. God can do that, okay? God spoke to me through the tarot cards, you know, in that season. And he was telling me to stop doing it. Stop doing those reversals. And then he gave me a vision of like them sending a little dart to me. And then I'm sending the same little dart back to them. And then they're sending another little dart to me. And I'm sending the same dart back to them. But God showed me a whole bunch of, if I was to have gave the situation to him, he's gonna KO. Okay? Not him, them, you know. So I knew, okay, well, I can't do reversals anymore. Okay. So you know, I felt stripped. Like, okay, I don't have the tarot cards. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I don't have the ancestor altar. I'm like, there's still people doing spell work against me. I don't know how to fight against that. I don't know how to fight against that. So I remember like constantly that night, because I had opened myself up to stuff like that. You know, they were constantly trying to like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. They were constantly trying to like, I could feel it trying to come over my head. I could feel it trying to like come in my body and all this other stuff. And I mean, it was insane, you know. I remember God gave me a dream. I was sitting on the bed and I was scared as I don't know what, you guys. I was scared. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I mean, my house was full of people. I even seen a white girl in there. No shade of white girls. But I'm just like, where'd she come from? Where'd she come from? You know, because mind you, I don't really have friends like that, you know. And not that I wouldn't be friends with white people. Oh my gosh. You see how the devil works? I love white people. Okay. But what I'm saying is, to see a white girl just run like she is like in a marathon through my window and down my hallway is terrifying, because who is that? Where'd she come from? That's what I'm saying, y'all. I'm not racist. I love white people. Okay. Really do. But anyways, so I'm just like, where'd she come from? Who is that? I pray y'all get what I'm saying. You know, don't be in the comment section trying to act like I'm a racist, okay? But anyways, so I had a house full of people, you know, so to say. But really what God was trying to say, like, you opened up something up in here, you know. He was letting me know that. Not in here. Anyways, at my other house, you know, I had opened up something. So anyways, I was dealing with that, and I remind you, I tell you, one night I went to sleep and I was holding my Bible. I was so terrified one night. I literally went to sleep with the Bible, and I was shaking, and I was just like, what in the world? Because I still had people doing spell work against me, plus the stuff I got myself into. And I remember one night I was laying in my bed, and I just seen this man standing there, and his skin looked funny. Like, it looked you know how women will sit there and like airbrush? No, this wasn't skin. This was like, it wasn't skin, but it was like a metallic-y looking thing. And it was like, he was like beaming of light, And he had on this green cloak, and he was holding this, this stick or whatever. I could tell he wasn't white, but he wasn't black. And, his hair was like brown, and it was about like this. And I remember I'm just looking at him. Mind you, I ain't see no hole in his hand or nothing. So I'm just like, they said you was black and you not black. That's what I was thinking in my head. I thought it was Jesus, y'all. I got a weird personality, y'all. But anyways, I thought it was Jesus, and I'm just like, you know, they always said he was black, but he's not black. And I remember he ran off. But the way he looked at me, he was just like, and he just disappeared. So I'm like, who in the world was that? So I thought it was Jesus. So I'm just like, okay. I'm like, I know what I need to do. You know, I need to get closer to God. You know, maybe get baptized. Blah, 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 blah. So I started watching sermons. I started watching sermons. I started reading the Bible and things of that nature. I started trying to pray or whatever like that, but I was so used to praying the way I was praying, y'all. I was praying to the Lord, but I was used to praying the way I was praying. I was used to either writing a letter and putting it under a candle to God, or burning a piece of paper in a pot and throwing the ashes in the air. So, you know, I was trying to pray or whatever. And so, I ended up getting baptized at my home church, at my childhood church, somewhat, you know, off and on childhood church. And, I remember getting baptized there, you know, and I remember after I came out of the baptism water, I was just crying. I was crying because I could not believe I had got myself into something like that. You know, mind you, witches was plaguing me, but I just could not believe. I dealt with so much shame and guilt behind what I did to God, you know. Like, I could not believe that, you know, I did something like that. I could not believe that I betrayed God in that type of way. You know, I could not believe I had got myself in that kind of situation, you know. And two, the witches was still plaguing me, and, you know, and I didn't quite understand how I could fight back, you know, and I was still feeling that very well they were attacking me. So, I remember, wow, this is like how I got out of New Age spirituality / how God conquered witchcraft in my life. And we're almost at an hour. Sheesh. I pray y'all got time. But anyways, because I'm not going to stop talking. You know, if God done led me to say all this, I might as well just keep on talking. So anyways, I got baptized or whatever. And after I got baptized, I remember talking to my pastor, and my pastor Susie. And I remember talking to her. And I was just like, you know, I was telling her she had suggested this prayer book called Prayers That Rout Demons. So I remember I bought the book, and I prayed, and it was working. It still worked. I still got to pray out of it, you know, because now that I'm close to that stuff, and if the witches is still doing stuff to me, I don't know, but the devil is still attacking me because of the fact that I'm walking in my calling, and he very knows that I'm coming for everything. I'm coming off with his head, okay? Because this is like, I know vengeance is the Lord's, but bruh, like, but anyways, I started praying, and that was working. And, you know, and it started off with like, I had to pray because, you know, I kept feeling something coming against me. Like I had to pray, you know, but then it turned into, I love to pray. I have to pray, you know, like I went from I have to pray to like, I have to pray in order to like, you know, so, you know, now like I'm very much on fire for God. I'm very much on fire for God, and it will never, ever, 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 ever die down in the name of Jesus. Never. So, I remember at that season, because God, when dealing with witchcraft, you know, because I still kind of deserved it because, you know, the way that me and my kid's dad had got together, you know, because his ex-girlfriend was the one that was getting stuff done. His ex-girlfriend, his sister. I remember during that season, before I came out of New Age spirituality, his sister had came to the house, her and her boyfriend. And she was so weird. And that's when it was blatant to me that she was very much involved. Like she was one of the people that was doing stuff against me. So she was sitting down. She sat down or whatever. Mind you, I had some candles going, but one of them was to give me strength. So, I guess she didn't know what it was burning for. She never asked. I would have told her. But anyways, so she sat down, and, she was just acting so weird. And, I remember I had just got done buying her a microphone because she likes to sing. And I just got done buying her a mic. And I remember she wanted something else because she was the type of person, she always wanted you to buy her something. So she wanted something else, and I told her, I said, girl, I ain't got no money. And she was like, I just want y'all to pay. And it was like the way she said it was like, you could tell like she had like this kind of vendetta or something or whatever. So I could very well tell just from the fact that she went up like that she was doing something or whatever like that. I very well knew that she was. And she blatantly admitted it because she realized it wasn't working. Because the reason why she was acting like that is because the dude had bought me a new wedding ring. We're getting a divorce now, but you know, at that time he had bought me a new wedding ring, and it was really pretty. And and that sent her and her mama on a frenzy. They could not contain their evil plans or nothing. So mind you, you know, after that, God, God always shows up on time. And, he basically was like, let me handle this. I let him handle this. But, I never had walked with God before. So I'm just like, I don't know, like how, because I'm still was coming from a place of doing it myself. So I'm like, okay, God, you handle it. But how am I going to fight against the witches? How am I going to fight against them? How am I going to fight against, these attacks? How am I going to fight against it? Mind you, I had just gave it to him, but then it took me a while to come out of that do it myself mentality, but, yeah, I was praying and stuff. Out of the Prayers That Rout Demons book, that was working. Okay, so then it was a season where they had did something to come up against my mind. Like, when I tell you, like, words would stand out, numbers, colors, everything, It was just so strange. And it wasn't because I had left and maybe the enemy was chasing me. No, because it started happening before I had even got out of that mess, But I didn't realize what it was. I couldn't feel the full effect of it because I was sending it back to them, But God allowed me to deal with it, And so I sat there and I was dealing with it. And when I tell you, I was afraid of black birds, man. Black birds. Like, and it seemed like the black birds was literally chasing me or something. It was so weird because, like, I say that because, like, we was driving on this street and we were going house hunting because I felt like God was moving us. So we were going house hunting and we were somewhere in Dinwiddie. It's a town in Virginia. So we were somewhere in Dinwiddie and we sent our house hunting. We were on this crazy back road. And I mean, it was just trees everywhere. It was curvy. And I lied to you not, like, I just kept seeing black birds. And then the creepy part was, it was a black cat that crossed the road. Mind you, what they tell you, when you see a black cat cross the road, you stop that doggone car, you back it up, you turn around, right? Mind you, I had just came for spirituality. Now, as a child of God, no weapons formed against me shall prosper. If I see a black cat come across the road, I'm still going where I'm going. What it gonna do? Nothing, you know. But back then, I wasn't quite, you know, there yet. You know, I just got out of that spirituality into Christianity. So I stopped the car, and when I stopped the car and I went to turn it, the black cat, there was 2 of them and they looked just alike. I mean, the same weight, everything. And they just looked back at me. And me and my kid's dad was just like, that was the creepiest thing ever. And we had turned around. And when we had turned around or whatever, and I was driving or whatever, I looked at this street sign. This street sign had a certain name on it. So I was just like, that's weird. So I just kept it going. So anyways, mind you, we didn't get a house on that road. If I should say that. So, after that, what else? We went to go look for a house in, this other town in Virginia. And, one of the houses had the biggest black bird I've ever seen. I mean, it was ugly. I mean, the wings was all like it raggedy, and it was huge. And I know it had to have been a buzzard or something, but I was just like, no, we're not moving over here. Like, it was like, and then I remember I started working, you know, because I was a home health aide at the time. And I was working for someone. And when I went to turn into their turn, it was like a gang of black birds just standing there. And they weren't even eating anything. They were just standing there. So, and then I had a bird try to fly into my truck. And I mean, all types of stuff. So, I mean, it seemed like the black birds was, I don't know. But it's a prayer in the Prayers That Rout Demons book that talks about spirit birds. Witchcraft birds, as older people would say. Witchcraft birds, you know. A lot of people knows about the witchcraft birds, spirit birds and stuff. And there's verses in the Bible that talks about spirit birds. But anyways, it was crazy. But that was a crazy season. I mean, I literally, like, I felt my mind leaving me, like, and I started like doing word searches and stuff. Anything I could do to, like, you know, keep my mind going, trying to keep my mind healthy. So we ended up moving here. And when we moved here or whatever like that, I remember, like, I seen, you know, I would see like these black figures in the house. These like floaty things, because, you know, demons don't have bodies. So, you know, it's like black floaty things or whatever like that. So, I lie to you not, I was getting in touch with a friend because I felt like God was leading me to the person. I kept seeing the person's name everywhere. So, you know, I got in contact with that person or whatever. And, needless to say, it went down the drain. The devil tried to attack that friendship. It went down the drain. But then, you know, before, God promised me. But anyways, it was just a lot. But let me tell you, God has brought me out of the situation with the witchcraft and all that stuff. He's brought me out of it. Like, he has restored my mind. He preserved my mind. But it's like at the same time, like, you know, I'm so much stronger now. Like, the witches, they should have just left me alone, to be honest. Because to the type of person that I am now, you know, like, I would have never had gotten this strong if they would have just left me alone, you know. But I mean, I'm stronger. I mean, and in the meantime of all those attacks and feeling like I was going to lose my mind and all this other stuff, God was pruning me. And a lot of stuff, you know, he took out of me. When I tell y'all, even my favorite color changed. I used to like pink. Pink was my favorite color. And when I tell you my favorite color now is purple, like God pruned me so much that my favorite color changed. And when I tell people that, like my family, they laugh, but it's so true. You know, he pruned me so much that my favorite color literally changed, dude. But okay, so back to, so yeah, basically that's how I got out of New Age spirituality. You know, that's how I got out of it. That's how I got in it. And that's how, you know, I ended up getting out of it. You know, God had brought me out. He literally chased me down. He used Pretty Boss, you know, to help me understand that what I was doing was an abomination to him, you know, and he knew I had that fear of him. He knew just the right time to tell me that, you know, because the Bible says that God is, he's near to the fools. And I was a fool, you know, like he protects the fools, you know, that's what the Bible said. He protects the fools. And I was a fool. I didn't know anything about the Bible. I didn't know anything about God. I know he was my God, you know, and I knew I believed in Jesus, you know, but I didn't know anything about the Bible. You know, I didn't know how to go about worshiping God. I didn't know, you know, I thought he led me. But when I tell you, I'm so powerful. I mean, God is so powerful. But when I tell you that I'm so much stronger now, you know, and I'm able to probably help anybody that's going through any type of witchcraft attacks and tell them, first of all, you know, fight those attacks with prayer and stuff like that. And at the same time, always repent. Try your best not to sin. Try your best to follow the commandments of God. You know, try your best to. Because the enemy that wants to destroy you, because at the same time, you know, that you're dealing with those attacks, God is using that to change you in some kind of way, you know. And the same time that the enemy is doing that, you better believe the devil is around too, trying to keep you from your calling, trying to keep you from whatever it can try to keep you from, you know. And no weapons formed against you shall prosper. Anybody that's watching my channel right now and you're dealing with spiritual attacks, I come into an agreement with you. You know, that you are going to conquer this thing, but you're going to do it with God. And if you are doing it with God, then yeah, definitely no weapons formed against you shall prosper. For all things work good for those that love God. Okay. You are going to you're going to be strong. You're going to be whatever it is that God has set out for you to be. Whoever he set you out to be with, you're going to be with them. Whoever, no matter, it doesn't matter. So anyways, off that, I don't know where that came from. Off that, so yeah, that's how I got out of New Age spirituality. And I just pray that anyone that has watched this video, I pray for you to feel convicted. But I also pray for you to have a revelation of your own in the mighty name of Jesus. And I pray that, you know, just like God revealed to me that, you know, all that stuff is demonic. And there's nothing you can do, no type of smoke. I mean, you can go outside and get a tree and burn the whole thing. It ain't going to protect you. Yeah, I mean, sage, it don't matter what kind of leaf you got. You know, it don't matter what kind of piece of wood it's not doing anything, you know. So not to come at you like that, but I pray that, you know, God gives you a revelation and he gets you out of that spirituality. But it's something else I wanted to talk about, because I know in the beginning of this video, I talked about me trying to offer my soul up to the devil. The devil actually came after me. That man that I seen that was beaming a light was actually the devil. For the Bible says that Satan will appear to you as an angel of light. And that's what he was trying to do. And in that season of dealing with witchcraft, you know, and God, you know, fighting on my behalf, the devil was trying to, you know, give me glory. And the devil was trying to, you know, change me. And the devil was trying to, like, give me this deal of, you know, me giving him my soul and him giving me a deal, you know, to do music. I mean, he was literally trying. He was trying. I remember I was driving through a town I used to stay in. And I heard this voice, because I was looking at the McDonald's, I was looking at the buildings, and I heard this voice was like, he owns everything. I don't give a crap what he owned. God made everything. What you mean? And I remember, like, he just kept going. I remember, like, you know, I mean, it's just so much, you know. I mean, he really tried to hunt till this day. You know, if you see me, I think I did try to bind something in the beginning of this video. I'm not sure because this is my second take of it. But, I'm not sure. But, I mean, I still deal with attacks to this day because the devil doesn't want me to raise up to become that minister. He doesn't want me to be the woman that God created me to be. And that's just tough. You know, that's just tough for the devil because nothing can stop the plans of God for your life. Nothing, not nothing. So anyways, I just wanted to let you know that the devil did try to come, you know, and take me up for that offer. But by then it was just by then I hated evil, you know, dealing with all that witchcraft and people trying to plague you with it and all this other stuff. Then, you know, to see the demon standing beside my dad's altar and, you know, all this, I mean, you know, by then I hated evil. I hated evil. And like the Bible says, what fellowship does light have with darkness? None. They don't get along. They ain't nothing alike, you know, and it will always be war. And I'm choosing the side of God. So anyways, I've chosen the side of God. But anyways, again, I thank you for clicking on my video. I'm sorry I'm not all dolled up for you and, you know, whatever, but I don't wear makeup like that. So I'm probably going to be looking like this the majority of the time. Yeah. But anyways, I pray that you have an awesome day. I pray that if you are in the New Age spirituality, I pray for God to give you a revelation. If you're triggered, that's fine. You know, I even, you know, hopped inside of Pretty Boss's DMs and told her about herself. I said, you don't know what Christians did to me. You're talking about something is an abomination. You don't know what they did. You don't know what they said to me. And this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. And look with me. Got a channel of my own trying to spread the word of God, okay? So with that being said, if I triggered you, I'm so happy I did. But, you know, I still pray for God to give any of you a revelation, you know, to help get you out of it. And if you're a Christian and you're just sitting here because for whatever reason, then I'm glad that you are here. And I really pray that, you know, you learn more about spiritual warfare if you haven't dealt with it. And that, you know, because we need more people as Christians to rebuke demons for people and to fight against demons for people. One of the things I dealt with dealing with this whole ordeal, I could not for the life of me find a church that will rebuke them for me. You know, they just kept saying, plead the blood, plead the blood. And yes, the blood of Jesus works. But, you know, like, so anyways, I just learned that not a lot of Christians are afraid to, you know, do that because they never opened themselves up to they try to stray away from it, which is right, I guess. Yes. I mean, yeah. So with that being said, I mean, if you've ever been in spiritual, I mean, if you've ever been on a New Age side and God is bringing you out, 9 times out of 10, that's what he wants, because it's a lot of people that's being, you know, drawn to that spirituality. And likewise, there's going to be a lot of people needing deliverance, you know, and even, you know, people of God, you know, you can be under a spiritual attack. You don't even know it just because of all the people that's inside of it. Some people dabbling with that stuff and you wouldn't even think, you know, some people can just hide it well. So you just, you know, you just got to be careful. You got to be prayed up, you know. But anyways, I'm really going to let you go. All right. So if you ain't clicked off already, but peace. Thank you for clicking on my video, and follow me on Instagram at SheAlwaysRise. You're not going to see me, but you're going to see a whole bunch of other creators, and you're going to be able to be motivated and things of that in your walk with God. All right.